Let me try another lift.
You're not going to get this, but...
Sounds like a challenge. As entrepreneurs, how do you get your initial investors? How do you convince someone to invest and believe in you? Please. Oh my God, this is hard. Okay, let's try this. Woo! I'm getting it. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. So today we're in the office of Perch, which is a fitness startup out of MIT, and we're going to interview their CEO, Jacob Rothman.
Yo bro, are you here for a workout or?
I need to get a pump first, otherwise I won't look good on camera. Woo! Get a fresh breeze from the outside.
It's hot in here.
But you have a really nice office, I have to say.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we got really lucky. It's a part of a co-working space, so we used to have like 5 desks downstairs, and then we hired 5 people, and we ran out of space, and then this floor opened up, so we got really lucky. Yeah.
It's really nice.
I don't know if we really should be lifting weights in here, because it's like it's like a 100-year building, and so just don't drop the weights.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, can you do some like heavy deadlifts here?
I do deadlifts, but I'm very careful I don't like drop the weights. You certainly can't do like snatches or anything really overhead, sure. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Jacob, for having us in here in your amazing office and gym workspace.
Thanks for having me.
And yes, I want to talk a little bit about how you really got started before we actually dive into what you're currently doing. So tell us a little bit, you studied at MIT, you did your undergrads there?
Yep.
Was it mechanical engineering, right?
It was, yeah. So it's like, I guess the big story or long story, but I can make it short for how we started Perch. But I was an undergrad at MIT, studied mechanical engineering and played varsity baseball there. And I actually met my 2 co-founders, Jordan and Nate, at MIT. Nate was mechanical engineering, Jordan was software, but they all played sports, were in the same fraternity. So really the founding story was really a love of engineering, right? Like the technical challenge of building what we're building, as well as just sports, fitness, all that good stuff. And as well as what we felt like something should exist in the world. So we set out to build it.
Did you always want to become an entrepreneur, or was it something that just came up later?
It was really the MIT ecosystem that spurred it. So I had a couple internships during my time at college, one at a very large company, one at a still 100-person company, but more of a startup.
Apple and Oculus, right?
You did, yeah.
I did
check out my LinkedIn. Yeah. So between those 2 companies, at the time, Oculus was 100 people. It was right before they got acquired by Facebook, or Meta now, and then Apple was, of course, Apple. So I got the experience of both those companies. This was back in 2015. I found that I really enjoyed more of the ownership that you got in the startup, like the fast-moving environment, versus being what I felt like was a small cog in like a big machine at Apple. So I found that I really enjoyed that experience, and then I started taking more entrepreneurship classes my senior year at MIT. I took discipline entrepreneurship with Bill Allett, which was great. You kind of went from taught you the whole framework of starting a company, from market segmentation to like testing and prototyping. And I also found through my time as a mechanical engineer at MIT, there's a lot of project-based classes. So doing a lot of ideation, market research, like prototyping and building. And I found that taking nothing from something was like really invigorating. So I kind of fell in love with entrepreneurship, and I don't do as much mechanical engineering now, which I miss. I'm more on the business side, but overall, the building stuff's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so tell us about Oculus. So you said you were there when there were just 100 people before they were acquired by nowadays Meta or Facebook. What do you think about the announcement by Mark Zuckerberg about the virtual reality? I know it's a little bit in the direction of what you're currently doing.
Yeah, it seemed like a big big rebrand to me, basically, assuming what was coming down the pike. But like working at Oculus was an awesome experience. I was more on, they call it like the mechatronics team. So basically I helped to build a machine that was doing a lot of like lens testing for the lenses that they were putting into like their early prototypes. So at that time they didn't have a product. I think they were building what they called DK2, I think. But they were just building some of the early prototypes that they were sending out to developers to allow people to start building content. So I got a ton of ownership as somebody who's only a sophomore in college. Realized I didn't know a lot of things, and I needed to learn a lot more. But being a part of that type of environment was a lot of fun for me.
Amazing. And so you were working directly on their like VR glasses?
Using a lot of my knowledge that I gained at MIT to build like a testing machine that would like test like lens diffraction. But basically, yeah, it was just they needed to test to make sure the lenses that they were putting in their goggles were to specification. So I was building a machine to help do that a little bit more precisely.
After that, you worked for Apple, or was it before that?
After that, next summer. Yeah.
So you said that you liked Oculus more, but can you tell us a bit more about internship at Apple? And how did you even get it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard work, interview process. And MIT is like, I'm very lucky to have gone to MIT because you get a lot of opportunities. So Apple loves to hire people from MIT. So luckily got an interview and did well through that process. I ended up working on the iPhone team. So I think it was either iPhone 6 or 7 at that time that I was working on. And it was just iPhone being a big profit driver for Apple. It was a lot of work, right? A lot of pressure to hit deadlines. And I think they like the interns were a pivotal part of kind of helping to support that team. So, I mean, I certainly learned a lot from it. It wasn't my favorite environment, which is what got me into entrepreneurship and more of a smaller company feel.
So research at university versus internships, what would you recommend people should focus on?
Man, I did both, to be honest. It really depends on what you want your career path to be. I did a bunch of year ops at MIT, which is like an undergraduate research opportunity. So I did that during my time, like during the semester. So I would do classes and then a little bit of research. And then during my summers, I would get into industry. So I would say, like, if you're interested in something, go explore it. Research there's a ton of opportunities to try to do that. And then additionally, getting into like summer internships and both getting experience at large and small companies. I think you could learn a lot about yourself and the environment you're looking for.
So you finished your undergrads and only then you actually started building Perch as a company, right? During your master's degree.
Yeah, we started it second half of our senior year. We were just starting like prototyping, and it's actually a completely different idea than what it was today. That summer after our senior year, we did something called MIT Delta V, which is a startup accelerator. So they give you a little bit of money, 3 months, you get to basically work with the team to like help start and build your company, which is great. So that's when we technically incorporated, but we were all part-time at the time. We spent those 3 months, and then I actually went to grad school for a year at MIT. A couple of my co-founders were finishing up school. So that's when we first really kicked it off. And then we were part-time for a year. And then about summer 2017, we kind of fully immersed ourselves in Perch.
Full-time.
Yeah.
So initially, how did you manage to balance your courses and studies with starting an actual company?
I did not. I was a grad student at the time, so I was doing research. I had some classes, as well as like trying to work on Perch. And what I found was that all the time I was spending in class or doing research, I wanted to be working on Perch. That's what I felt my true passion was. And I felt as wanting to be an entrepreneur, and most of the stuff I was doing was on the business side, that my grad school degree wasn't really going to help me long term in like the career I wanted to pursue. And luckily I still had my undergrad degree. I'm not at all condoning dropping out of school.
Yeah.
But I ended up putting grad school on hold to pursue Perch full time because I really just couldn't do it both. And I felt like the time was right to go full time on Perch.
So how did you make your initial fundraising round? How much capital does one even need to build a physical product?
It depends on the product.
If it's a rocket or
yeah, exactly. So we've raised like a few $1 million to date, basically, and that's been in tranches over years. We started with a very small friends and family round, like $50,000. We don't come from really wealthy families, and then we found some high net worth individuals and people that are really passionate about fitness and what we were building, and the story that we had. It's been difficult to raise capital for our company just because right now we sell to a market that's a little bit smaller, at least initially, like professional teams and college teams, as well as a hardware product. It's a harder thing to do to start a hardware company. But we've been able to, like, each and every obstacle that's coming our way, we've been able to overcome it and build like valuable product.
What kind of advice would you give to students who maybe want to go in a similar direction, maybe not the same company, but as entrepreneurs, how do you get your initial investors? How do you convince someone to invest and believe in you?
Man, probably that's a lot to unpack there, but I would say just like start. My advice that I give people is just to start now, because like when I look back, right, there's a lot of things that had to happen to get to where we are now. A lot of it was hard work, a lot of it was luck, but it wouldn't have happened until I wouldn't be here right now with the company and really proud about where we are without having taken that first step, right? So it might, if you're sitting back and being like, hey, I want to start a company, it might seem really intimidating, but it's just one small step after another, and eventually you get there. It's like a lot of ups and downs along the way. But if you have a great idea, I would just say start building it, start talking to people, start networking, start trying to find a team, and eventually the things like fall in place.
So what was the biggest struggle that you had along the way?
Man, the biggest struggle we've had along the way. It's probably too many to count. And just building the product is probably the hardest thing. Just a hardware product is hard, and then particularly like building a computer vision product in a weight room, which is a very, very dynamic place, has proved way more challenging than we initially anticipated. And because we sell to professional and college teams, the data quality and accuracy needs to be very, very high. So just like we're constantly working on improving the product, and that will never stop. So I think it took us a lot longer to get to market than we anticipated. So that's probably been one of the biggest challenges.
And how did you manage to find your first customer? Because that often seems to be very difficult for companies.
Yeah, it was just hustling. I think initially, what's great about our market, at least the one we sell into right now, professional and college teams, like it's easy to know who the customers are.
Yeah.
You're not just selling into the world and hoping somebody buys the product. It's like you know exactly who the head strength coach at the New York Giants is.
Yeah.
And you can guess their email. So we essentially, in some of these public universities, they have publicly, like their emails are public. So we basically scrape these sites and like put together a list of like all these email addresses, and we just started doing email campaigns like on a regular basis. And we weren't really trying to sell the product at that point. It was all the marketing was like, hey, we're MIT students, and we're just looking to get your feedback just to get in the door. And people were pretty receptive and responsive. And that's one way for us to get feedback and build the product, but also to develop relationships with potential future customers. So our first customer was the LSU football team. So they responded, had a quick phone call. I flew down there and we installed the demo, and they ended up liking it enough that they wanted them on all of their weight racks. So that ended up turning into our first customer, and that was when the product was good enough to sell as well.
So would you argue that your product is mostly just for pro athletes, or do you think at some point it will be like in every gym, like a standard equipment?
The goal is, like our vision for the company is to change the way the world lifts weights. And I think a simple analogy for what we're trying to do is, so are you familiar with Strava? Heard of Strava? Yes. So like for those who aren't familiar with it, it's like an app that tracks your runs, right? So it uses the GPS on your phone, carry your phone with you when you're running. So it'll track how far you ran, like what your splits are. It'll allow you to put you into a community of people. And
you're in a heart rate if you have an Apple Watch.
Exactly, right? So it's a way of just tracking your runs.
Yeah.
And they've built an incredible experience that's like social, it's gamified, you can see your improvement over time. But when you go into the weight room and you lift weights, and that can be anything from bodyweight squats to like heavy deadlifts, like you're not able to track your progress well. You either have to bring in a notebook and write it down manually, which most people don't do, or you enter it into an app. Or, and even if you are doing that, you're missing a lot of information. So really what we're building is the GPS for strength. We are building technology that can capture detailed information about the quality of your movement when you lift weights.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can build really incredible experiences.
Because the weight room hasn't really changed in the last 100 years. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger was using the exact same weights that we use today.
Exactly.
Same non-existent technology, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
And back to the business, how do you think, I mean, you mentioned that you took some courses in business, but what do you think was really the most key things that you learned along the way for being able to start a real company?
Man, I didn't know anything about business until I took a couple like entrepreneurship classes, and that gave me the courage to feel like I knew some stuff about business. But business is really all about, I mean, it's being logical, it's like not being scared, it's being like, at least starting a company, I think it's getting comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And that's what I've learned. I was a massive introvert in school. I loved engineering, and I still do. But I think the biggest thing for me was just getting out and talking to people, not being scared to learn new things, and not being scared to like people say no and reject you, and just being okay getting up and trying again. And like that's the best MBA you can have, is just the real world experience.
Yeah, you don't need to pay $200,000 for Harvard Business School MBA. Exactly. You can just do it and maybe fail and
maybe
or succeed. In your case, you succeeded with your first company. It's
exactly.
running after several years.
Well, knock on wood, we're doing all right now.
Yes. How do you see your long-term future for yourself, for this company? Like, your plan for your whole life. Do you want to stay with this company? Do you want to build it huge, or do you want to sell it at some point?
That's a great question. I get that question a lot, and I think the best answer is like our goal is to just impact as many people as possible through the technology that we're building. So we've developed a lot of really like amazing, new, innovative like computer vision, machine learning to track like functional fitness, and we think we can impact millions, billions of people with that. So whether or not that's us doing it on our own or us getting acquired by another company, we'll see. But we will our goal is to just impact as many people as possible and build as much value as possible. In terms of my goal in the future, it's like I want to start more companies. I found that I love being an entrepreneur. I love kind of the engineering piece, but also just like I love building things. All
right. Should we make a little demo so people can really see what we're talking about?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Perfect. So can you explain us how it works roughly?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically the Perch product primarily consists of two main parts, at least in the in-weight room experience. So we have our camera system up here, which is like a 3D camera, similar to maybe like a Microsoft Kinect. And then we have actually a GPU in the back that does all of our computer vision machine learning in real time. So this camera is going to be capturing the movements, whether that's a squat or a bench press. And this camera actually moves, so if you're standing further away, the camera will adjust automatically to capture your movement.
It's gonna follow me if I do that.
It wouldn't. Right now it's a little bit more manual, but yeah. And then this was Bluetooth paired to a tablet, so we essentially have an app that works with any Android, iOS device. I can click log in, click my name, just log in. Let's say I'm lifting more weight that's on the bar. I can touch where the weight is, and I can add, let's say, 45 pounds, so I'll automatically compute your weight. I can change the exercise if I want to.
Should we add the weights?
No, don't worry about it. I'm not warmed up.
I can try them. I always get super excited, like a little child when I see weights.
And we can also input like sound effects as well to give people real-time feedback. So if
like
I show
an
you, it's more like a ding. I think you'll hear it hopefully. So like if I move really fast, it'll show gold. If I get inside the range, it'll give you like a good sound, and then if I move it too slow, it'll give you a bad sound and call the rep differently.
I mean, it's directly above me. How does it see how fast I'm moving?
Because it's a 3. Let me press start. Yeah, go for it.
Oh wow!
So it's a 3D camera, so it's essentially getting both.
So if I start doing something crazy like this, I like the sound.
Yeah.
Does it also measure how much I'm lifting, or?
So that's manual input right now.
Okay.
So there's no way, just because of where the camera's mounted, you can't really see the weights, and then it's actually a really difficult problem because every weight room has different types of weights.
Yeah.
So determining how much is on the barbell.
Well, it sounds like an American problem though. In Europe, it's like pretty standard.
Consistent, yeah.
Here it's like, okay, the bar is 20 kilograms, then the weights are 45 pounds. For me, it's like always a math challenge every single time, just adding up this.
Yeah. Like my guess is that you'll move this. I don't know how strong you are, but between like 0.8 and 1 if you try really hard.
How much was that?
0.84.
Okay, you guessed well.
So
Let's see what happens if I go heavier.
How much do you want on? If you say so.
We're gonna
Let's not get a failure on camera here.
That would be embarrassing. Me like.
This is probably like 235, 245.
Let's see. Well, now I should be super slow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So now it says that I'm too slow.
Yeah. So that was near your max. So like basically failure is around like 0.15 to 0.2. So you moved those at about 0.24 meters per second.
Okay. Let's see until how long it takes until I completely fail. I'm not really warmed up.
Is that what you want to do? You want to add this?
Let's try that.
All right. I don't think you're going to get this, but
Probably
we can try
not.
it.
I'm not warmed up.
We're going to get you failing on camera.
It's gonna be embarrassing. All right. I think I could have gotten it.
You were going down. You were going down. This is. I'm not going to be responsible for my interviewer injuring himself.
So you did sports before, I suppose.
At MIT, yes.
Yeah.
Played baseball.
Baseball?
Yep.
For how long?
So I played it my entire career, but I played it 1 year at MIT because I ended up getting like injured during my freshman year.
Oh, too bad. That sounds similar to my story.
Yeah. So you said you were a triathlete?
Yeah. I used to do triathlon. Never wanted to become professional at some point, but then I was preparing for like the qualifications to the Olympic Games, and already there I had an injury, so I never really got far. But I mean, I'm still passionate about fitness.
That's obvious, yeah.
Absolutely love it. Love bodybuilding nowadays.
It's great that you're still involved in fitness. I mean, maybe one day you'll see.
Let me try another lift. I feel really frustrated that I didn't manage to lift this.
You're not going to get this, but...
Sounds like a challenge. All right, you don't even need to spot me until it actually... Oh wait, I have my microphone here. Okay, let's be careful with the microphone. I don't want to damage it.
All right, so I won't spot you again until you actually can't get it off your chest.
Until like my face is all white and I'm not breathing anymore. Okay, let's try this. Woo! I'm getting it. Yeah.
I think it was so slow that we didn't even pick it up. I think it was below our threshold. Yeah, that was probably
come
on.
I see that the voice even shifted because of it. Right.
Yeah, we should put the collars on. That was impressive. I did not think you were gonna get that.
I really wanted to prove you wrong on this.
That's motivation. To get him lifting on camera.
Yeah. Would have been more fun though if it had fallen down.
Just Nate, actually one of our co-founders, writing some crazy code
nice
right now.
You. So you're doing some heavy coding here?
Just a light, frothy coding. Nothing too heavy.
Looks more professional than my setup.
And then this is kind of where the business team works, as well as our manufacturing. So we actually do a lot of our assembly in-house right now, manage our own supply chain. So Matt's over here actually managing that for us and working to ship it out. And then we have Oso. He's going to jump all over you, but a little bit of an office dog.
Oh, I love dogs.
I guess one of the luxuries of a startup is you can just bring your pets to work.
Right, that's so nice. I should have that.
Go to bed?
Sweet. How many people are you again?
We are 9 people right now, and we're actually hiring a lot currently. So
what are the open positions? Maybe somebody watching is interested.
Yeah, we're hiring a lot of software engineers, salespeople, operations, a little bit of everything, marketing. So if you're interested, yeah, we job posts are online.
So it's perch.fit, F-I-T.
Yep.
And you probably have the job listings there.
Yep, we should.
Okay, so if you guys are interested, either in buying the product or in working here, maybe you can check it out.
Yeah,
that would be great. All right, thank you so much for this interview, by the way.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the lifting.
I appreciate you guys coming by and testing the product out. Yeah, it was great to meet you guys.
If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I can't let go until you subscribe. Please. Oh my God, this is so hard. Have you subscribed yet?
One eternity later.
Did you do it yet? There's a link just below the video. Please click on it.